How's it going, Titans fans? Welcome to my review for Titans Season 1, Episode 1, and I can't believe I'm saying that, it's finally here. As you guys know, I've been covering Titans for a little while now. I've been confident and been looking forward to seeing how this show is going to do, and I've been, like, quite consistently excited for it, despite other people saying, or the, you know, the edginess or the Starfire stuff or whatever. But, you know, the reviews came out not so long ago and people were giving it good reviews. Some other people were saying, oh, it's, you know, screaming to be too edgy for edgy's sake or whatever. That seems to have kept up in a couple of reviews. But to be honest, I've been waiting for something like that. That's what I want to start with. This show, if you're a fan of the Arrowverse shows, or any superhero show for that matter, and especially if you're a fan of DC characters such as the Titans, but then again, you kind of want that more consistency, if not switched up quite a bit of a notch than, for example, something darkish like Arrow, then this is hopefully the show for you, because it definitely hit my buttons there. But before I get into this breakdown and review, guys, if you want to see more videos just like this from me every single week on Titans, be sure to hit that subscribe button and be sure to hit that like button, as it really does show your support for the channel. Now, truly, if you've been following my videos or just any videos or just been keeping up with the Titans information before this episode released, you'll kind of know what to expect from this episode. I feel like there was, of course, stuff that I didn't know was going to happen. I felt like the flow throughout all of it was consistent. I felt like the way they introduced the characters and they linked all their origins, you know, to form the Titans, that is. But definitely for most of the characters, excluding Beastboy, is set up completely by the end of the episode for where they're all going to definitely meet each other soon. Now, you may be thinking, but wait, what? This is Titans. Why aren't they all together in the first episode? Well, because storytelling. We need to set up these characters, and mainly in this episode, well, this whole season anyway is kind of centered around Raven's struggle with her inner demon, literally, is mainly setting up Raven's storyline, how she connects with Dick Grayson, and then Starfire, who I will say, by the way, was basically the most intriguing thing in the show in the first episode for me, to any Starfire haters out there. And Diop, I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong, she was absolutely brilliant in this episode, and I honestly felt like, wow, I want to know more about you, more about this iteration of Starfire, and you just really make me laugh and engulf this role really, really well. Say what you will about the design, but I couldn't be happy with Anne's performance. Now, we'll get to that really cool Beast Boy tease at the end of the episode, but as I said, it's mainly about Robin and Raven and Starfire. So let's talk about Robin first, and, you know, Robin and Raven, and then let's move on to Starfire. Now, the beginning of the episode, as I was kind of mentioning earlier, a lot of it is in the trailers, a lot of it is from what other outlets have teased us with in terms of what the first episode consists of, and that is the Flying Grayson's dream that Raven has, but it's not exactly a dream, even though she thinks it is at the time. It's basically a vision that will link her to Dick Grayson. Now, the beginning of the episode definitely 100% gives off that dark vibe of the show. When I say dark, just like how I briefly spoke about earlier with the Arrowverse shows, just holy shit, just you wait till you get further down the episode, and I really freaking loved it. But anyway, rewinding for a second, the beginning of the episode shows Raven and her mother's kind of like family home lifestyle, in the sense of, you have this daughter who has this demon-like power, essentially a demon within her, and then her mother, who is like trying to put up with this, or deal with it to the best of her ability, and it just sets off that tone to the show straight away. Now, one thing I will already say about Raven's character, or should I say Tegan Croft, who plays Raven, is that I really like her. I can tell that I'm gonna like her throughout this whole season. She's just really kind of like a lovable character, and she seems to be playing the role really, really well. She's a good actress. You know, you could easily argue that they could have got somebody in who can't play the role too great, and it's just a bit, I don't know, cringy or something, but no, she really plays like this struggling kid, you know, of her age. I think she's 13 in the show, who's got a freaking demon inside her, who has to put up with bullying because we see her go to school and she's getting called all kinds of things from all kinds of other people. It's just, this girl lives a really, really hard life, and it makes you kind of empathize with her, and then also really kind of root for her throughout that first episode, because she doesn't really seem to get a break. I mean, for crying out loud, within the first episode, people already sent after her. Freaking mother is executed right in front of her, and even though she's not her mother, that's another drop we got, but it was just full-blown brutal, and you're just like, oh my god, like, where's this gonna go? But that is when we saw Raven obviously go out into the world, and this is her beginnings of her journey into how she meets Dick Grayson, because just like what the promo photo showed us before this episode aired, we saw her go like throughout homeless shelters and stuff like that, but she eventually winds up in the police station and meets Dick Grayson. And this brings me to briefly give my introduction on Robin. Now, one thing I will have to say is, you know, in terms of what we saw in the trailer, like the Netflix trailer, the much better trailer, we saw Robin go into obviously the police department, and they were looking at Robin actually on the screen, and they were like, why is he over here? And he'd cracked a joke, oh, it's the weather maybe. But when you watch the episode, you hear them talk about Dick Grayson, who's only just recently transferred there, and they're like, oh, what's up with him? Or like, you know, we've been trying to get him a partner for like a month or something. And then at the same time, they're talking about how Robin's on the TV, and the mayor sends like a message to him at some point in the episode saying, Mayor to Robin, go home. And it's just like, couldn't it be any more obvious that this guy is Robin? Now that is just a nitpicky little thing. I'm not by any means using that as an actual axe in the show. I mean, Superman, Clark Kent, we could go on there. But it just made me laugh because at one point in the episode, Dick was talking to Amy Roebuck. I can't remember if that's how you pronounce the name. And he was just like, they were like talking about what happened between him and his previous partner, and that's when we get a little bit of an explanation from Robin reflecting on Batman. He was just like, you know, we didn't get along, we had differences in how to do the job, and it just makes you think, Robin, like, just arrived in the city, Dick Grayson just arrived in the city, seems to be separated from Batman. I also like how there was a little Joker drop in there. It was literally nothing really, but they were just taking the piss out of Dick's former partner and what could have happened there in terms of how maybe he got gassed by the Joker or something. And I'm just looking forward to more little things like that in the show. Now, we have been over this like a million times, the fandom as a collective, in terms of what happens in that alleyway scene between Robin and the criminals. But Robin, as we know, has an issue anyway with how Batman has taught him to deal with things on the job in terms of taking down criminals. Batman in this show, guys, in case you don't already know, kills people. And that's something I fundamentally disagree with personally, and that is why Dick Grayson in this show has gone away from Batman, hence the, you know, two different sides on how to do the job thing. But that doesn't mean that throughout the years of growing up alongside, you know, Batman and Batman taking care of him, he has basically got very violent himself. So in that alleyway scene in the trailer, it did make it seem as though he was killing people, but if you did actually take a second glance, you will know that it was just very violent. Like, there was some of his robberangs, if you will, thrown into people's hands and everything. He broke people's jaws. He put, you know, stabbed people in the shoulder, things like that. It wasn't murder, but he was going hard. The thing is, I like this. I really like this. Obviously, Robin's going to take a step back from this as he turns into Nightwing in the show. But man, was this just so cool. It was violent as hell, but the choreography was amazing. But man, was it edgy at the same time. I get where the edgy comments are coming from, but I do feel like this show is being memed about a bit just because of the apprehensive you know, viewers before going into this show. It was just essentially being memed about for several different reasons. Now, there are some proper face cringing, and when I say cringing, I mean it in the sense of like, holy crap, it's hard to watch. But as I said, I like the realism to all of that. And it really does kind of show Robin's internal struggle with, does he kind of partly enjoy this, but also loathe himself for it at the same time? One thing in that alleyway scene as well, I don't know if you guys caught this, but I loved when Robin dropped down on top of the car, and as he rose up, or when the smoke went off, I just loved that stance he took with his cape. It was so like Batman, like the animated series. That was such a cool shot cinematically. And going back to Robin actually reflecting on Batman in the episode and how much of the Batman stuff we got to see, we didn't actually see really anything from what we saw in the Netflix trailer. I believe that will all be coming a lot more in the second episode. I believe we did hear Bruce's voice at the Flying Graysons moment where she was like, you know, oh, I want to help you or something like that. Now, as for the characters of Robin and Raven in this episode, I really like their connection. We knew that Robin would be taking in Raven in this show, much like Bruce did to Dick when he was younger. That really does hit it off right from the bat. I mean, at first, when Raven is in, obviously, the interrogation room with Dick, and he's introducing himself saying, why did you vandal? Why did you do that to a cop car, you bloody idiot? You would be really spooned out, for lack of a better word, when somebody says to you, oh, you're the boy from the circus. At first, Dick was like, who put you up to this? And it must be somebody from the inner Bat family or something like that, because how else would anyone know about this? But that is when Raven is taken by the people who are still trying to go after her for her demon abilities and trying to, I'm sure this all links to the Trigon storyline in this season. Dick goes after her and saves her from one of the guys we saw in the trailer. I'm sure you're seeing him on screen right now, but it wasn't Dick who actually did the saving. It was actually Rachel's inner demon self. And now Tegan Croft did explain how this inner demon is essentially her, like another version of her, yet they are totally different at the same time. But you see the demon consistently throughout this episode, you know, even though it's all about, oh yeah, let me kill him, let me do this, you know, all evil, that demon version of her, of Rachel, is essentially looking out for the both of them. You know, it is a protective kind of thing. And my God, does Raven go ham on that guy. I mean, she literally pops in his body, kills him from the inside, and then pops out. Now, naturally, this traumatizes Raven, but this just only strengthens that Dick Grayson, you know, protective instinct he has over Rachel already. And I can't wait to see where these two characters go from there. Now we can finally talk about Starfire. Now, there's not actually, her scenes were broken up throughout the whole of the episode, naturally, but there wasn't too much that went on with her story apart from how we already knew from teasers that she'd wake up in a car crash. She can't remember who she is, but, you know, honestly, that's what's the intriguing thing about this story. It makes that fascination as to what's really going on there with Anne's acting. It's really, really good and a really cool combination. I honestly don't personally, say what you will about my opinion here, but I really don't care about that costume. Now, Anne did actually, I think, at New York Comic Con say that there will actually be a comic book accurate look. We've heard that before, but coming from the actress herself, if you're really one of those people who hates that, that will be coming. Now, what we see Starfire's journey throughout this episode is essentially that she's being chased down by Konstantin Kovar's group, because the night before, she had actually hooked up with Konstantin Kovar, who, interesting fact, was Red Star, and she learns from a guy in her freaking bedroom that she was after a girl. That would lead to one thing to another. She kind of goes back to track down Konstantin. And if you're an Arrow fan, you'll remember him from season 5, if I remember correctly. But within one episode, because Konstantin Kovar got pretty butthurt because he said that he loved her after, I'm guessing it must have been more than one night, he tries to shoot her when she cracks out this funny, it made me laugh anyway, and she was like, yeah, I don't think I loved you too. And she really went full on Starfire there. Now, I know you guys want her to be the original Starfire color the whole time, consistently throughout the show, but I actually like this new iteration of it. I mean, when those effects happened, it was really cool, and her whole body did change color. So I'm thinking they're going to do a lot more of that. She absorbed that bullet, but as she did it, she freaking killed Konstantin and his two henchmen straight up, and then she did a little laugh. Now, some people may be like, but why is she leaving a trail of bodies behind her? That's not comic book accurate. Well, if somebody tries to kill you, and they're not really good people, and they just literally try and shoot you blank there, then that instinctual reaction to deflect a bullet whilst at the same time incinerating them would be kind of acceptable in my book. But that was actually the gist of Starfire's storyline in this episode. Within that office, that's where she really got that like kick for like, well, I'm going to go seek out this girl. And that's where we're going to obviously see her eventually, well, within episode 2, I bet, meet up with Robin and Rachel. And then this will really be the beginnings of the investigation as to what Rachel is dealing with. And lastly, guys, what about Beast Boy? We got about 2 minutes, 3 minutes of him. Now that I think this will be obviously in the next episode, Hawk and Dove explored a bit more. What we did see from those promo photos is that he was caged up, so I'm guessing he might get caught or something like that, or it's just going to take a little bit longer for the Titans to form together than what we originally thought. What we saw of Beast Boy though is that he went into this store where they sell TVs and video games, and he used his tiger form to break in there and actually steal a video game. I thought that was really funny. It was simple. It was a cool introduction to his character. He's really quirky if you know Beast Boy anyway. I already got those vibes from those few seconds we actually had of him. He's quite giddy about what he just did. So I'm really looking forward to see him. I honestly am very happy with this show. If you guys didn't know already, it's actually already been renewed for season 2. They must be very confident with that to be the case. But, you know, judging from episode 1, I'm only looking forward to episode 2 even more. I'm happy that we've got, yes, a more edgy superhero show rather than just the CW shows that keep it a bit more tame. Not throwing any shade at the CW shows there. I love them. I review them. But, you know, we've got this other option here, which is a bit more grittier. It's about completely different characters. They're giving that to TV a lot more. I mean, for crying out loud, we've got Robin, Dick Grayson here. And even more on TV. That's awesome, and this episode was awesome. So guys, if you enjoyed this video and you want to see more videos just like this on Titans and everything comic book nerdy related, be sure to subscribe to this channel for more videos and give this video a like to get it seen a bit more. I'd really appreciate it. But other than that, everybody, thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a lovely rest of your day, and I'll see you Titans in the next video. Goodbye.